Welcome. I would like to welcome you to yet another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you would do me a favor, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It will definitely mean a lot to me. If you are listening on any DSPs, it definitely means a lot. Subscribe there as well. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by my birthday, which is in July. So if you can, please come to the YouTube channel and subscribe so you can get the full experience of the Unpopular Podcast, from the visuals, clips. You know, just subscribe. It would mean a lot. So, but here's where we'll start. So the NBA season ended this week, and of course you had the play-in tournament, or the Eastern Conference play-in tournament yesterday. You have the Western Conference tonight, and with this regular season being over, you're gonna get the awards as far as the MVP, the Rookie of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year. You know, those are gonna start trickling in. You're also going to get the All-NBA teams, the All-Defensive teams, All-Rookie teams. And what I wanted to do today is I'm going to give the Unpopular Podcast All-NBA, All-Rookie, All-Defensive teams. Now, there's a stat that came out the other day, I think yesterday, saying that this is one of the most offensively driven seasons we've ever seen. When you look at a lot of the players that are going to make it into the All-NBA team, a lot of them average more than 25 points. Now, I'm not saying this is the greatest offensive team or offensive season we've ever seen, but we're getting a lot more Hardens and KDs and Currys instead of, Tony Allen's, Bruce Bowens, and Dennis Rodmans, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with a lot of offense. Now, I don't know if that wins a championship, and of course we'll talk about that closer to the NBA Finals, but we're starting to see a lot of players, a lot of teams that are mainly offensive driven. And like I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to give my all-NBA teams, all three teams. I'm going to give my two defensive teams, and I'm going to give my two all-rookie teams. Before I give my teams, there's a lot of great players in the league that didn't make my team. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm not saying they're not great. But there's a lot of players that did not make my All-NBA team. And I'll give a couple honorable mentions before I give my teams. Paul George is one. A lot of people like to bag Paul George because of, the whole playoff P that he so eloquently named himself, and then what he did in the playoffs. A lot of people want to talk about, he's kind of like the punching bag of the league. However, when you look at the numbers and you really look at him play, he is at least a top 15 player in the league. Now, the jury's still out about the playoffs and what he's going to do with the Clippers, but a lot of people like to bag on him, but and unjustly so, because he is a good player. He's an offensively gifted player. He's great defensively. Yeah, he's had, injury bug that's happened to him the last few years, but this year, Paul George has been incredible. I think he's averaged like 25 or 26 points. And he has been the driving force, along with Kawhi Leonard, of the Clippers. So he didn't make my All-NBA team, but if he makes an All-NBA team, the official one, then of course I wouldn't be upset, because Paul George has been incredible. Jimmy Butler's another one. It was hard leaving Jimmy Butler out, but because of the impact that he has for the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, I'm not going to say are awful, but are not good with him off the floor. With him on the floor, they are a team that could very well make it back to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. Jimmy, he's not the greatest offensive player. However, his leadership, his defensive presence is one of the reasons why he is considered an elite player. Like I said, he can give you a 40 bird one or two, once or twice, but his calling card is not defense. It's not offense, it's defense. So that's one reason it was kind of hard for me to put Jimmy Butler in, because it would have been hard for me to take out a couple players. So that's why Jimmy Butler didn't make my list. Domantas Sabonis from Indiana. He's one of the most underrated players in the league. Now, he made the All-Star team this year, which I definitely like. But he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play defense. He's great offensively, and he's a player that, he's not gonna light up the stat sheet, but he will. You look up like, oh shoot, he has triple double, or oh shoot, he got 30. Like that's the type of player Sabonis is, and he's one of the sole reasons why Indiana made it to the play-in tournament. So, I he didn't make my All NBA team, but he definitely has a case to make it. And I guess my last honorable mention I'm gonna say is Zach LaVine. Now, Zach LaVine, a lot of things are being said for the fact that he plays on a rebuilding team, which is the Bulls, and most of his points is because nobody else can score. But Zach LaVine was still finished, I think, top 5 in scoring. Like Zach LaVine is a beast. Devin Booker didn't make my All NBA team, but he definitely could have made it. So, I'm looking at all the players that could have made it, and again, I'm not saying that they're not good, and I'm not saying that the people that did make it over them were 10 times better. I'm just saying that they just didn't make my All NBA team. So, but without further ado, I'm going to give you my All NBA team. Let's start with the third team. I'm going to start with the point guard. Now, the point guard position was tough for me. It was tough because this year, more than like any other year, you have some incredible point guards. Like this year, especially the guard position, has been the hardest year in terms of who would make the All NBA team, who wouldn't. Now, I say the third team was the hardest because honestly, the guard position, it kind of went down between two people. It went down between Kyrie Irving and Donovan Mitchell. The reason why I picked Kyrie over Donovan Mitchell is because of the time that has Kyrie, I believe, has played more games than Donovan Mitchell. Now, Donovan Mitchell's out with an ankle injury. Of course, he's a key reason why Utah is number 1 in the Western Conference. But I had to go with Kyrie because, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Kyrie has played more games. And Kyrie is averaging 27 points a game. Well, of course, all these are rounded up. So 27 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Kyrie Irving has been consistent as far as when he's on the court. Now, of course, we know about all the off the court stuff and the religious stuff, and we'll talk about that a little later. But on the court, he has been consistent. And so is Donovan Mitchell, don't get me wrong. But I think that Kyrie Irving is going to get the nod over. Let me say this. I'm going to give the nod over Kyrie over Donovan Mitchell because I feel that Kyrie has been more intricate, seeing as though KD's been out, seeing as though James Harden's been out. I think Kyrie's been more intricate in the success that Brooklyn has seen this year over Donovan Mitchell because of the team around Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has Rudy Gobert. He has Bojan Bogdanovic. He has Joe Ingles. That is a good squad. And don't get me wrong, I know Brooklyn is a good squad with KD, Kyrie, and all the pieces. But like I said, KD has missed majority of the season with a hamstring injury, and James Harden was out for a while with his injury. So I'm going to put Kyrie Irving as my third guard for the All NBA team, for my All NBA team. My second guard, I'm going to put James Harden. I'm going to put James Harden because, now I know a lot of people's not going to like this because of what happened in Houston, but if you look at the numbers, James Harden is averaging 25 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. Now, we look at, when you look at players like James Harden, when you look at great players, and they regularly do something, it starts to lose luster for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people will look at what Russell Westbrook's doing and think, okay, it's just another triple-double, seeing as though he's the only player in NBA history, and I think will be the only player in NBA history that averages a triple-double 4 of the last 5 years. However, because we see it so regularly with Russell Westbrook, you start to think, all right, well, it is what it is, just another triple double. In terms of James Harden, we're looking at his scoring prowess, his ability to get to the line, his dribbling ability, his step back ability, and I think we're starting to look at it as like, it's just James Harden. James Harden, he's good, but it is what it is. No, what we're seeing from James Harden is one of the most offensively gifted players we've ever seen. I'm not saying he is, but he's one of the most offensively gifted players we've ever seen. And I understand that he is. I understand he is missing. He missed time for a minute due to an injury, but on the court, he unlocks something. Even with Kyrie and KD, he unlocks something in Brooklyn that allows them to, or that could potentially make them one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen as far as the team. And he's been consistent as far as when he's on the court for Brooklyn. So I have James Harden as my all NBA third team. I have Jason Tatum as my first forward position. Jason Tatum's averaging 26 points a game, seven rebounds, and 4 assists. Jason Tatum he's kind of kickstarted his stardom for me. I understand he was really good his rookie year, and he got he helped the Boston Celtics make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think a Game 7 against LeBron and the Cavaliers at the time. But Jason Tatum has really spearheaded his stardom for me. I said on a previous episode of Unpopular Podcast that he would be in my top 5 players in about 5 years. He would be top 5 because, of course, a lot of the stars that we see now will, of course, be getting older. Some may not be in the league due to their age. And I said Jason Tatum would probably be in that top 5. Well, if you look now, and I'm not saying he is, but a lot of people could argue that Jason Tatum could be top 10 player in the league right now. And they have an argument. Jason Tatum is incredible offensively. He does need to get a little better defensively, but he's not terrible defensively. Jason Tatum's tough. And he has had, he's had a 60-point game. He's had a couple 50-point games. Jason Tatum is that dude, bro. And it does suck that Jaylen Brown got hurt for the rest of the season, I think, with the wrist. And that's definitely going to hurt their chances, of course, moving forward. But Jason Tatum has done enough, in my opinion, to be on an all-NBA team over a Paul George, over, Sabonis. So that's why I have Jason Tatum as all-NBA third team. I have LeBron James as all-NBA third team as my second forward because, he was in the MVP discussion majority of the year until he got hurt for I think it was like 6 to 7 weeks. And because he got hurt is the reason why he got, bumped down to the All-NBA third team. LeBron James is still the best player in the world. Even with missing a lot of time, he still averaged 25, 8, and 8. And I just on the court, he's the sole reason why. I'm not gonna say sole reason, but him and Anthony Davis is a big reason why the Lakers, well, even though they're the 7th seed, they'll probably be favored in every single series they're in. So I have all LeBron James all NBA third team. I believe if he didn't miss time or as much time as he did, he would definitely be up in the all NBA team, but he missed a lot of time. So that's why I have him in the third team. And I have Rudy Gobert. I know Rudy Gobert's numbers aren't flashy, even though he's averaging 14, 14, and 1. He's not flashy, but Rudy Gobert does a lot of things on the court that is not going to land in the stat sheet, but is vital for the success of Utah. First and foremost, Donovan Mitchell hasn't been there for the last few weeks due to ankle injury, and Rudy Gobert has stepped up both offensively. Now, again, I understand it's only 14, but and he's not putting the ball on the ground, hitting with the bing binks or nothing like that, but Rudy Gobert, he stepped up offensively. He's probably one of the best screen set. It's funny. Side note, before we keep going, did y'all see Kwame Brown going crazy against Gilbert Arenas and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson? The funniest part is when he was like, Did y'all set this? Did y'all see the screens I was setting? Hey man, shouts out to Quan, man. He a real one for that. He's a real one for that. But let me wow. That man said, do y'all see the screens I was setting? Like, come on now, what we talking about? All right, let me keep going. Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, Rudy Gobert, let me say this. The reason why I believe Rudy Gobert is more important to the Utah Jazz than Donovan Mitchell. Not saying that it's like drastically, but what Rudy Gobert does on the defensive side of the ball, as well as how he's able to his screen ability, his pick and roll ability, as far as definitely roll, he ain't pick and roll ability, allows Rudy Gobert. I think he's been the center position outside of the top two has kind of been, a seesaw this entire year. So because I think he's in line to be a finalist in next episode, I'm gonna give my MVP and all that. I think he has a good case to be Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to put him as my All-NBA third team. So my All-NBA third team is Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Jason Tatum, LeBron James, and Rudy Gobert. My second team, this gets a little tougher. Now, of course, going up the list is still tough, but this gets a little tougher because a lot of players that could be in the first team and have arguments to be in the first team, but I think that there are players, at least in their position, that a little above them. So let's start at the guard position. I have CP3. Now, you look at the numbers and it's like, damn, CP3 is only averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. But this goes back to the impact that we were talking about. When you look at Phoenix is pretty much the same team from last year that struggled mightily until they got to the end of the season and the bubble. And Chris Paul has unlocked something in the entire team, and now they're sitting second in the Western Conference. So Chris Paul, he's been incredible, and he's been Chris Paul. Chris Paul is arguably one of the greatest point guards to ever walk the face of the earth, and this is just another example of him being incredible. So even though his numbers aren't flashy, he is having a Chris Paul type season. And because of that, he is a sole reason why I'm not going to say sole. Why do I keep saying sole reason? He's a big reason why Phoenix is where they are right now. So I have Chris Paul as my point guard for the second team. I have Bradley Beal for my second team. Bradley Beal is second in the league in scoring. He averages 31 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. The reason why I have him second is because the success or lack of success, especially early with Washington. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little later, but I don't think that I don't think a team's record should really affect a player as far as getting on to the All-NBA teams, but I do think that it can affect the seeding, I guess you can say, of where they sit. Because Washington is of course under 500 and how they started the season is the reason why he's not in my first team. However, Washington has been one of the best second half teams after the All-Star break. I think they're like top 5 in winning percentage as far as after the All-Star game. And a lot of that is because of Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. Like I said, for a long time in the season, Bradley Beal was leading the league in scoring. And this is the second year in the row that he finishes top 2 in scoring. Now, this should be the second year he made All-NBA team, but we're not going to talk about that. I just think Bradley Beal has been incredible the entire year. I think that he's arguably one of the best shooting guards in the league. And while I think I can't put him on my first team because of the team record, but I will put him on my second team because of the team record, if that makes sense. And what I say is, he has been incredible all year. He's had 60-point games. He's had a couple 50s. He's had a bunch of 40s. And the team is built around Bradley Beal. And like I said, you have to accredit him. You have to accredit Russell Westbrook for the success that they're seeing, especially after the All-Star break. And that's why I had to put him in my top. There's no reason why. There's no reason why someone top 10 in scoring or the second leading scorer in the league is not going to be on my All-NBA team. That's just crazy in my opinion. So I have to put Bradley Beal in my All-Second team. I have Kawhi Leonard as my first forward in the All-Second team. He's averaging 25 points a game, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. The reason why, he's missed a lot of time, but when he is on the floor for the Clippers, he has been the Kawhi Leonard that we're used to. Kawhi Leonard's here's the thing about Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard doesn't have a flashy game, but he is tough. And when I say flashy, he's not loud, like he won't yell in your face. He's not, KG or anything like that. Now, he's not Tim Duncan, but he's pretty much a solid mix between them as far as personality-wise. I do think that he is arguably still one of the top few small forwards in the league. And of course, the reason why he sat out a lot of games is due to the fact of, first, what we saw last year in the playoffs. And they want their top two, as far as the Clippers, they want their top two players, top three, because Serge missed a lot of time too. Top three players as healthy as possible, especially again after what we saw last year. But again, on the court, Kawhi Leonard has been incredible. So I have Kawhi Leonard as my first forward for the All-Second team. I have Giannis as my second. He's averaging 28 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. Giannis is in the conversation for MVP. At least I'll probably put him top maybe 5 or 6. And Giannis is having a Giannis year. Now, if it wasn't for a lot of other players having incredible years, this could be Giannis's third straight MVP. And because of that, I have to put him. It's hard for me not to put him in my All-NBA. Now, I had to go back and forth between if I was going to put him and another player in the All-NBA, my first team. But as the cookie crumbled, he landed in my second. And that's no offense to Giannis. That's not saying he doesn't deserve it, because he definitely deserves it. So I have Giannis again. Giannis is this could be a really good year. This could be the year that Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks win it all. If you look at the landscape of the league, we'll have my predictions in another episode. We don't know what's going to happen with Brooklyn, especially defensively. The Philly, we don't know, even though, and a lot of people, that could be the toughest road. And of course, in the West is tough. They're going to beat each other up. So this could be a year for Giannis. And Giannis had an incredible year. So I have Giannis as my second team. And I have Julius Randle. Julius Randle as my center for the All-NBA second team. What we're seeing out of Julius Randle and what we're seeing out of New York, nobody except for probably New York fans or whatever could have saw this coming. I didn't think that New York was going to be good enough to be the fourth or fifth seed in the East. I didn't think we'll talk about this a little later, but I didn't think they were going to be good. So Julius Randle is 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. I think he's had the most triple doubles from a Knick since 1950 or something like that. Anytime you land on that list and land on having more 30-point games or something, or as many 30-point games as Carmelo Anthony for the Knicks, you're doing something good. And that's so I had to put Julius Randle. There's no way that you can look at what the Knicks are doing and look at the landscape of the league and not put Julius Randle as an All-NBA player. I'm not saying he's an MVP. I'm not saying none of that, but Julius Randle is definitely the most valuable player for the Knicks, and the Knicks have been incredible. So I definitely am putting Julius Randle as my All-NBA second team. So the All-NBA second team is Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Julius Randle. Now for my first team. First team, actually, outside of one position, was kind of easy. In my opinion, the first team, outside of maybe Bradley Beal, he could have slid in there in my opinion, seeing so how important he's been for Washington. Giannis could have slid in there, but outside of that, it was fairly easy. And I'll start with my point guard position, and that's Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, and all these players that's on my first team are one time or another were or are MVP candidates. So my first one is Damian Lillard, averaging 29 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. Damian Lillard is the main cog that makes Portland run. Now I understand you have CJ McCollum, but he missed time. You have Enes Kanter, who's really good offensively as far as rebounding and stuff like that. But you got Nurkic. You have a lot of good players. Melo's on the team, Robert Covington, but this team is only going to go as far as Damian Lillard takes them. Damian Lillard is one of the best point guards in the league. He's one of the greatest shooters to ever play. He's one of the greatest shooters to ever play, especially when we talk about shooting off the dribble. And it's Damian Lillard, he's one of those players where you're going to look up and when you think about some of the greatest point guards ever, his name is going to be up there as far as maybe top. I can say right now he can be top 20 to top 15 point guards of all time, and by the end of his career, he can definitely slide up to closer to top 10 in my opinion because of how good he is. Now, nobody thought they would say that with him coming out of Weber State, but Lillard has been incredible, and especially this year with the turmoil and all the ups and downs that Portland has faced with injuries and trades and all that. Damian Lillard has been consistent. And there was a time where a lot of people were arguing, if Damian Lillard should be an all-NBA, should be an MVP. So that's my first point guard. That's my first guard position is Damian Lillard. My second is Steph Curry. Like, come on now. Steph Curry leads, finished the regular season with the scoring title, averaging 32 points a game, 6 assists and 6 rebounds. There's not really much else you can say about Steph Curry it hasn't been said. One of the greatest point guards to ever live, the greatest shooter to ever live. He's had multiple 50-point games, multiple 40-point games. He's had his career high this year against Dame in the Portland Trail Blazers, which was 62 points. Steph Curry is one of the best players in all of basketball. And when we look, he didn't make the 50, 40, 90 club, but this year, he didn't make it this year, but he's having one of the best seasons. In fact, you can say that this is arguably his best season, and this is coming off of This is coming from a player that has a unanimous MVP, has another MVP, is a three-time champion. This could, at least statistically, this is arguably his best season, and he's not going to win the MVP, but it goes back to what I said a couple episodes ago. When we talk about valuable, he is up there as far as Golden State finished the regular season number 1 in offense. And this is a team with Juan Toscado Anderson, Kent Bazemore, who else? Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, Draymond Green. As far as offense, like, come on now. That if that stat doesn't scream Steph Curry, then I don't know what does. So Steph Curry, again, who is the NBA scoring title, who won his second NBA scoring title, he lands as my second guard for the All NBA team. Now, my first forward, and this is where I said you could have put Giannis in. I was kind of, jockeying between which one. I chose Luka Doncic, who's averaging 28 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. The reason why I picked him over Giannis is because of his importance to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas, even though they have Kristaps Porzingis, Dallas is god awful without Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic, a lot of people had him at least third, as high as third in MVP voting for at least once in this season. Doncic's ability to not only score the ball but get other people involved is one main reason why I'm putting him over Giannis. And don't get me wrong, Giannis is an incredible player, but Luka's ability to get other people involved, while when you look up, like, damn, he has 40? Like, that's Luka. Now, of course, his defense can be a lot better, and he complains to the refs more than any player I've ever seen in my life. And yes, that's even including, Manu. But Luka has been incredible. And Dallas would not be where Dallas is right now if it wasn't for Luka Doncic. And honestly, if Luka Doncic does not play for Dallas, and let me say this, Dallas is only going to go as far. It's kind of like Damian Lillard, just on a bigger scale, because Damian has better pieces around him. Dallas is only going to go as far as Luka takes them, and it's kind of not even close. So. And Luka has been incredible all year. Like I said, even with all the complaining and that he does with the refs, he's still averaging 28, 8, and 9. So I have Luka Doncic as my first team. I have Joker as my first forward, power forward position. I mean, I think he is in good standing to win the MVP, and he's averaging 26, 11, and 8. I said this before, and I'll say it again. He is arguably one of the most skilled big men we've ever seen, as far as he's a big man with guard ability, guard vision, guard passing abilities, and a person that could very well possibly win the MVP. It would be crazy for me not to put him as my All NBA team, All NBA first team. So I have Nikola Jokic as my first forward in the All NBA team, and of course I have Joel Embiid as finishing off the All-NBA team. He averaged 29, 11, and 3. So when we talk about contenders in the Eastern Conference, the reason why Philly not only secured the number 1 overall seed in the East, but has a good chance of making this year is one of their best chances to, more than anything, to not only make it to the NBA Finals, but they could win the NBA Finals, and a lot of that is because of the play of Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is putting up numbers that we haven't seen since Shaq, and that's saying something with some of the great centers we've ever had coming before and after Shaq. It's Joel Embiid has been incredible, man, and while of course they have really good pieces on the Sixers, their championship window is only as open as Joel Embiid opens it, pretty much. And he's another player that could finish 1 or 2 in the MVP race. So that's why I have my All-NBA first team is Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid. And I think that you can kind of swap in Luka for Giannis, but outside of that to me is pretty much going to be who's going to actually be in the NBA's official All-NBA team. So those are my All-NBA teams, 1 through 3. And let me know if there's a player that I missed that you feel should be on it. Let me know if there is if there's a player that I put on the list that shouldn't be. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Hey, you can always leave in the comments. I definitely respond, and we can have some dialogue. Let's go with the all defensive team. The all defensive team was actually pretty easy in my opinion, both of them. Let's start with the first one. No, let's start with the second team. Second team, I have Jimmy Butler at point guard. I have Matisse Thybulle at shooting guard. I have Giannis, Miles Turner, and Clint Capella is my all defensive second team. Jimmy Butler, like I said, Jimmy Butler, even though you have other good defenders on the Heat, Jimmy Butler is the engine that really steers the Heat. And what are the Heat? The Heat is a defensive first team. Jimmy Butler, while he's not going to give you flashy numbers, his defense is incredible. He is one of the best defenders in the league. And especially when we talk about the guard position. And uh, it would I couldn't I can't name 10 better defenders than Jimmy Butler. And because of that, at least this year, and because I can't name 10 defenders better than Jimmy Butler, and that's why I have him in my all NBA second team. A lot of people look at the success from Philly, and then of course you look at Ben Simmons, you look at Joel Embiid. But when we talk about defensively, Matisse Thybulle, even though he's not a flashy name, even though he's not a superstar name, he has been one of the best on-ball defenders this entire year in the entire NBA. Him alongside with Ben Simmons. It's, I mean, that is a big reason for the success of Philly. And while again, Matisse Thybulle, he's not the greatest offensive player, not even in a long shot, but he's one of those players that know his role, and his role is defense. He was a defender at Washington, as far as the school. He was a defender at Washington, and he played his role. He's an old-fashioned player. He's a player that, when you look at some of the, he's a Bruce Bowen. As far as defense, he's a Bruce Bowen. He's a Tony Allen. He's a Ben Wallace. As far as you know your role and you stick to it, and that's what Matisse Thybulle is. He's not going to take some crazy shots. He's not going to look. You're not going to look up and he has 30, 40 points. But when you look up the player that he's guarding, you say, damn, he's 2 for 18. Like that. That's how good Matisse Thybulle is, and that's why I have him in my second team. I mean, Giannis hadn't fell off a cliff. Giannis won the Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's still a main reason and a big reason why the Bucks is a top 5 defensive team. Is Giannis. I mean, again, this is a reigning Defensive Player of the Year and could finish in the top 5 Defensive Player of the Years this year. So I have, that there's that. Miles Turner, a lot of people forget how good Miles Turner is, especially defensively this year, due to the fact that he did get injured and was out majority of the year, or for the I think after the All-Star break, he missed a lot of time. But before that, he was, I think, top 3 in rebounding and top 2 in blocks. Like, Miles Turner was incredible, and I'm not going to discredit him from being an all defensive team just because he got injured. So I have him in my second team. And Clint Capella, I think he leads the league in rebounding and leads the league in blocks, I believe. Or if not, he's second in those categories. Even though the Hawks aren't, I mean, yeah, they're I think 4th or 5th in the East. I don't think that they're going to make noise, but Clint Capella has been a big part of their success with his ability to play defense and protect the rim. So that's why I have him my all second team. And my all first team defensively, you have Drew Holiday, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, and Rudy Gobert. Players around the league, and you're starting to see a lot of media people say this, and I've been saying this for a minute. I'm not saying I was the only one or first, but I will say that Drew Holiday is one of the most underrated players the league has ever seen, and he's definitely one of the most underrated players in the NBA today. And a lot of that is because he doesn't give you a lot of flashy numbers, but if you ask most of the guards, I know Steph has said it, I think James Harden said it, I know Dame has said it. When they talk about who is one of the toughest players to play against, all of them usually say Drew Holiday because of his defense. And like I said, him paired with Giannis Antetokounmpo is the main reason why the Bucks are where they are defensively. They're one of the best defensive teams in all of the NBA because of them too. And I put Drew Holiday as the first team over Jimmy Butler. One, because Jimmy Butler missed some time, but because Drew Holiday is taxed to guard some of probably the best position and usually the best players at that position. And so does Jimmy, but like I said, due to time he missed, I'm gonna put Drew. But Drew had any given night he has to go Steph, Dame, Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Chris Paul. Like that is a tough gauntlet of players that you have to go through. So I have Drew Holiday as my first guard in the All NBA team. Ben Simmons, this could be the year that he could win Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good he's been. It's really between him and Rudy Gobert, in my opinion. Ben Simmons has been incredible. Ben Simmons, not only due to his height, because he is what 6'9", 6'10", or something like that, maybe 6'7", but his height, his quickness, his guard-like skills allows him to guard some of the best players and at majority of the almost all positions. Like you can look up, he guards Curry one day, the next game he'll guard Rudy Gobert. One day he'll guard James Harden, the next day he'll guard Kevin Durant. So Ben Simmons, his skill type allows him to guard all five positions and all five positions well. And you know, a person that, in my opinion, is going to finish either 1 or 2 in Defensive Player of the Year has to be on my first team. And that's why I've been Simmons on my first team. Draymond Green, he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. He is the main cog, at least defensively, that of Golden State. Now, Golden State, of course, you have Clay, but he's been injured. James Wiseman has been injured, and this is his rookie year. Outside of that, they don't really have a defender outside of Draymond Green, and Draymond Green has been incredible for Golden State with his defending ability and his assist ability. Draymond Green's been incredible, and it's not really much you can say about it because, again, he doesn't give you a lot of flashy numbers, but you have to watch Draymond Green. You have to watch a Golden State game to see not only the energy but the impact that he has on the defensive side of the ball, and that's why I have him as my first team. Bam Adebayo, I don't think he's going to come close to winning Defensive Player of the Year, but I do think that he should be considered because of, like I said, him alongside Jimmy Butler make Miami an incredible defensive team. His ability to not only defend the rim, but he's quick for a person his size. And I never switched the thing. He's quick for a person his size, and I think that because of that, he, you know, again, and you've heard campaigns about him being Defensive Player of the Year. Again, I don't think he will, but he's been good enough to at least have those campaigns. So I put Bam as my power forward for the all defensive team. And Rudy Gobert, we just talked about it in the All NBA team. Rudy Gobert could very well win his third Defensive Player of the Year this year. He is the main cog as far as defensively for Utah. Utah is the first overall seed in the West. Rudy Gobert has been incredible. Even though you can talk about, the whole Corona stuff. You can talk about how, some of the contract that he got, even though if you match with the numbers, it may not match as far as scoring. Rudy Gobert has, even though he kind of gets sort of the same scrutiny and same vitriol, I guess, that Paul George does, he's still an incredible player. And most of that is because of his ability to play defense. So I have, again, my first defensive team is Drew Holiday, Ben Simmons, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, and Rudy Gobert. Let's go with the rookie team. Now, again, next episode, I'm gonna give my awards as far as MVP, Rookie of the Year, and stuff like that. And the Rookie of the Year to me is a 2-man race. It was probably a 3 until one of the players got injured, but it's pretty much a 2-man race, and that is where we'll stop there. Let's go with my second team. You have Emmanuel Quickly from New York. You have Sadiq Bey. You have Desmond Bain. You have Isaac Okoro, and you have Jaden McDaniels. The thing that I realized about rookies, when you look at the all rookie team, you got New York outside of one. You have Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, and Memphis. The thing is, most of the all rookie team play on teams that suck. Outside of, like I said, Emmanuel Quickly and a couple, we'll talk about the rest, but they suck, and a lot of these rookies get a lot of playing time because their teams are not that good. Now, I'm not saying that should minimize their rookie of the year. All rookie team status, because Sadiq Bey just had a 30-point game the other day. Like, these are good players, and I think that these players will be good. I don't know if they'll be household names. I don't know if they'll be top NBA players. I don't know if they'll be cornerstones in the league, but these players have been great. Emmanuel Quickly, when you look at his game, he's one of those players when you look like, wow, he gets calls like he's a superstar. He gets James Harden type calls, and he's offensively incredible. And he plays at a speed that is not like a rookie, because as a lot of rookies, they'll come in and they just try to go 1,000 miles an hour, which kind of gets into a lot of trouble. Emmanuel Quickly, from day one, he's been incredible. And yeah, man, like I said, these players aren't bad. They don't suck. Of course, these are incredible players. It's just a lot of their numbers are going to be inflated because they have to play a lot of minutes because the teams that they play are not good. But that doesn't negate the fact that they are on my second rookie team, and shouts out to them. So like I said, that's Emmanuel Quickly, Sadiq Bey, Desmond Bain, who is a very important piece from Memphis, who is in the play-in game tonight. Very important piece. I'm not, Isaac Okoro and Jaden McDaniels. My first team, you have LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Jayshawn Tate, and Isaac Stewart. Now, like I said before, the rookie of the year is pretty much a two-man race between LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. I'm going to talk about, like I said, who wins next episode, but both of them, LaMelo Ball did miss a lot of time due to the wrist injury, but both of them have been steady and consistent. And even though I know that they were 1-3 as far as Anthony Edwards going 1 and what's the name, LaMelo Ball going 3rd, I understand that they are projected to be good, but Anthony Edwards has been better than I expected, and so is LaMelo Ball. Now, again, I thought they were gonna be good, but I just didn't think they were gonna be this good. Like, they don't look like rookies, and they've been incredible. So I didn't see Tyrese Halliburton. I did not see that coming at all. Now, I understand his season ended early due to injury, but and I understand he's played a lot of minutes with Sacramento, because Sacramento's god awful outside of De'Aaron Fox, but I did not see Halliburton being this good. Hell, there was a time when he was at least second in rookie of the year. Like, that's how good he was, and that's crazy. I didn't see Jayshawn Tate being this good. Now, I understand all the stuff that happened with Houston with James Harden and John Wall getting hurt, and DeMarcus. A lot of people forget DeMarcus Cousins started the season with Houston. I understand that, and of course the coaching. It's a lot, but Jayshawn Tate has been incredible for Houston, and him alongside what's his name, Christian Wood. Even though Christian Wood missed some time, they've been really good. And I had to put Jayshawn Tate there, and so is Isaiah Stewart. Now, Isaiah Stewart, he be getting dunked on a lot. He be getting dunked on way more than I like. But Isaiah Stewart's been really good, man. I understand he plays for Detroit. So does Sadiq Bey, and Detroit's awful, but that doesn't take away from their numbers. In fact, that kind of helps their numbers because they're playing on bad teams, so they're putting up the numbers. But yeah, man. So that's my first all rookie team, which is LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Sean Tate, and Isaiah Stewart. Now, again, this injuries definitely suck, and injuries affected all of these teams. Like, you know, because KD missed so many times, missed so much time due to the injury. That's why he didn't make my All NBA team, even though when he's on the court, he's been incredible. James Wiseman was really good, and he most definitely would have been on my All Rookie team if he didn't miss a lot of time due to injury. Injuries definitely affect. Hell, like I said, I think Donovan Mitchell, if he wouldn't have been injured, he probably wouldn't have been on my list. LeBron James would have been a lot higher in my All-NBA team if he didn't get hurt for all those times. Anthony Davis being hurt all those times probably would have made not only my All-Defensive team, but my All-NBA team. So injuries definitely suck, and they definitely play a part in these awards this year. But hell, they could play a part in who wins the Rookie of the Year, who wins MVP. Like, it's crazy. So, but those are my All NBA teams. Those are my All Defensive teams, and those are my All Rookie teams. If you agree, let me know. We can talk about it. If you don't, let me know. We can talk about it, and you can definitely leave it in the comments. So let's move forward. I want to give a shout out to Kyrie Irving for joining the 50-40-90 club, being the 9th NBA player to do so, 10th player overall, because Elena Delle Donne did it for the Washington Mystics back in 2019. So there's 10 players overall. Kyrie Irving, here's the thing about Kyrie, man. Kyrie is the enigma of the NBA. I originally thought it was James Harden, but it's most definitely Kyrie. And the reason why it's Kyrie is because Kyrie is exactly who Kyrie's supposed to be, and that is his own person. We always talk about Kyrie because he's just different. But I think, because you're in the spotlight, all your moves are, of course, magnified to the umpteenth degree. And people want to dissect what you do and don't do. And, of course, we know about Kyrie and the Sage, and we know Kyrie and his religious background. Kyrie isn't the greatest with the media, especially what's going on. And he talks about what's going on, especially with like Israel and Pakistan and stuff like that. Kyrie is different, but of course he's going to be different because he's his own person. And a lot of people don't like that because when we look at our stars, we want them to be as media friendly as LeBron, or as fierce competitor as Kobe, or wants to be as good with the media as Steph. But not everyone wants to be that. And of course, if you're not, you're going to be labeled like a Charles Barkley was horrible with the media. And now look at it, look how he is. Shaq wasn't really good with, even though he was a jokester and everything. They lost. Oh my goodness. and it was, Kyrie's just his own person. And I just want to shout out Kyrie for being his own person. And while a lot of things that he does, a lot of people would deem as crazy or over the top, that's just right for him. And even with all that, he still finishes in the 50-40-90 club while averaging 27 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. To me, that's been incredible. Even with the turmoil season, a lot of his teammates, like I said, KD going out, James Harden going out. Now, of course, he misses some time here or there with personal reasons and stuff like that, or knee soreness or something like that. But Kyrie has been consistent. And again, shouts out to Kyrie for not only joining the 50-40-90 club, but for being himself and not wavering on being himself. You don't really see that a lot, especially in sports. And they want you to be as media friendly as possible and stuff like that. But Sometimes that's just not how it goes. Sometimes you don't want to talk to the media. Now I understand contractually you may have to, but you know, shouts out to Kyrie for being himself. A lot of people don't like that, but hey, it is what it is. So, congratulations to Kyrie Irving for joining the 50-40-90 club. And before we go, uh, of course, with the regular season being over, some of my preseason predictions, some of my end season predictions, some of them were incredibly right and some of them were incredibly wrong. So I'm just gonna end the show with giving some of my takes that I was hella wrong about and some of the takes I was hella right about. Let me start where I was wrong. I'll say where I was wrong. I predicted that the Knicks were going to be god awful. I thought they were going to be trash. I didn't think that Tom Thibodeau was going to make a huge difference like that because we see what happens when he coached Milwaukee. I mean, not Milwaukee. We saw when he coached Minnesota and how that ended. We saw how it ended with the Bulls. And I was just like, I mean, yeah, Tom Thibodeau, he's going to run his players into the ground. Not to mention, I don't know if you remember, but New York had a lot of scrutiny because they were supposed to get KD, they were supposed to get Kyrie. Hell, they traded Kristaps Porzingis because they were trying to make cap room for this too. They were pretty much saying, yeah, we gonna get him, and then they end up going to Brooklyn, and they end up getting Taj Gibson and Julius Randle at the time. We're just like, bruh, these they suck. And then you look up today, Julius Randle could very well win the Most Improved Player. He made my All NBA second team. You have Emmanuel Quickly. Derrick Rose has been incredible. R.J. Barrett has been incredible. Julius Randle, like I said, has been good. And Tom Thibodeau has been incredible as a coach. And like I said, as we speak today, they're sitting in the fourth spot, I believe. So I thought they were going to be horrible, and they turned out to be really good and exciting. They are a really good watch. We've seen them play the Brooklyn Nets a couple times live, like as far as like on ESPN and stuff like that. They've been really good. So I can admit that I was hella wrong about the New York Knicks. Something I was right about. I said going into the season that Steph Curry was going to win the MVP. Now, I don't think he will, but he's most definitely having an MVP type season. Like I said, he's averaging. He won the scoring title, averaging 32 points a game, averaging 6 rebounds, averaging 6 assists. With Steph Curry on the court, Golden State is, I think, the number one offense. And again, this is with, if you look at the roster, look at Golden State's roster and tell me without Steph Curry, would that be a number one overall offensive team? And Steph Curry, I understand it's the 8th seed, but Steph Curry got them to the 8th seed. And again, go look at that roster. I don't think Steph Curry will win the MVP, but I was right about he will most definitely have an MVP type season. And statistically, Steph Curry has had arguably his best season ever. So that's what I was right about. I was wrong about. I thought the Wizards would be top 4 in the East. I saw Bradley Beal, and I especially saw what he did last year. Of course, getting Russell Westbrook, getting some of the healthy. I mean, Thomas Bryant, getting Bertans. I just thought this would be the year that we would finish top 4. Now, I didn't foresee COVID hitting us like a freight train. I didn't foresee Russell Westbrook being, playing, I think, on a torn quad or something like that at the beginning of the year. I didn't foresee Bradley Beal's hamstring acting up on him. I didn't foresee none of that. I just thought with the talent that we had, this was Washington's year to be top 4. Now, Washington didn't make it to the play-in, and of course we saw what happened last night. But I thought Washington was going to be top 4. When you look on paper, and how they, especially towards the end of the season, they had arguably one of, if not the best backcourt in the league. I mean, one of your players averaged a triple-double in Russell Westbrook, and the other one finished second in scoring. I just thought. So I was wrong about that. I was right when I said that Brooklyn would be great. offensively. And I was now this was even before James Harden. When you looked at the players that they had before, the trade, you had KD, you had Kyrie, you had DeAndre Jordan. And I said, this team is going to be really good offensively, but defensively, how were they going to really stop anybody? I mean, you had Taurean Prince, and you also had Jared Allen, who was good, but you traded them away. And even with that, Taurean Prince, I don't think is going to give you big help. I don't think he's going to give you big crunch time minutes as a defender. And Jared Allen could do that, but that's just one player. And even with James Harden, like I said, I knew they were going to be great offensively, but they're horrible defensively. And I was right about that. I just want to say I was right. I was wrong. I said that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid should separate. I think I said I thought Joel Embiid was going to be traded. I thought one of them should have been traded because I didn't think that they could play together. As we look up today, Ben Simmons is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Joel Embiid is a MVP candidate. Philly is the number 1 seed in the East, and they've only lost, like, with both of them on the floor, I think they've only lost like maybe 6 or 7 games. Like, that's how good they've been. And I was wrong. I don't know. I think a lot of it is due to coaching. Doc Rivers has come in, definitely laid his imprint on it. And getting Daryl Morey definitely helps as well. But yeah, man, I was wrong. I did not think that. I thought that we saw the ceiling from Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and I thought that both of them were kind of, because I always say, when you're great and you occupy the same space, it doesn't work, And I thought that their ceilings were they were each other's ceilings. As far as Ben Simmons is only going to be as good because he's playing alongside Joel Embiid and vice versa. But I was incredibly wrong about that. And lastly, I was right about Chris Paul. I knew that I said Chris Paul was going to make a huge difference for the Phoenix Suns. Now, I didn't think, when I say huge difference, I didn't think they would be second overall in the West. I thought they were going to make the playoffs because Chris Paul, his ability to make other players around him better is second to none. But I didn't think that, even though you had, you had Devin Booker, you have DeAndre Ayton, and players like that, I thought they were going to make the playoffs. You can go back. I said they were going to make the playoffs. I just didn't think they were going to be second. I thought they were going to be like 8th or something. So, but I was right with Chris Paul was going to make a huge difference, and he has. Like I said, I don't think they would be second overall in the West if it wasn't for the leadership and the playing style and and as good as Chris Paul is. So there's that, man. That's where I was wrong. I'm not always right. I like to think I am sometimes, but I'm not always right. And looking in hindsight, I'm wrong a lot more times than I'm right. But I will admit at times when I'm wrong, and I will definitely praise the times when I'm right. Because, why not? If nobody is going to be your cheerleader, you be your cheerleader. That's all I'm going to say about that. And that has been this week's episode of the Unpopular Podcast, man. I appreciate everyone that supports. I appreciate everyone that's here. If you do me a favor, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which is in July. So please, 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 please do your part if you haven't and subscribe. You don't even got to watch. Just subscribe. It would mean a lot. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, joggers, long sleeves, the link is in the description below. I got a lot of designs, got a lot of colors. Hey, man, go get you one. It's getting a little hot outside, so get you a t-shirt. Hey, I got you. Just click the link below. And again, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And until next time, much love.